Okay, I'm recording. This is our Success Squad call on September 22nd, and I have no topic. So I'm only really recording this because multiple people were like, oh, I'll just watch the recording, but in my mind I was like, I don't really have a training or anything, but I wanted to touch base because September is a tricky month. We never want to be like, hey, prep yourself, it's going to be a really hard month, because it might not be for you. But typically September is a hard month in the business, and when you're trying and you're going for big goals and you feel like maybe that analogy of like you're chopping the trees down in the forest as you're walking through, there's more branches right now. And so sometimes when there's resistance, we can get in our head and feel kind of negative. If you are not having that experience, then good for you, and just keep rolling and keep going. But I know that some of us are. Hey, leave him be. And one of the best cures I have found for kind of just feeling like in my head is this community, is connecting with the team. So I just figured we would kind of share, I don't want to say wins and loses, wins and learns, like what maybe have you been going through lately that you've absolutely learned something from. We're literally going to go around, anybody who's on the call right now or jumps on at any point, what you've learned, and how you're going to tweak it, and maybe some wins. And my husband and I were talking this morning, and I got a little I get very in my head, and when I do that, I really don't share with anybody. It's not on purpose, it's just that's what I do. And so my husband has kind of noticed that that's been going on, and he was like, why don't you talk? He was like, speak words, Sam, speak words. And I was like, sometimes I wish I was already there. I feel like I've been hustling so hard. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, why don't we remember, or he goes, he was so good actually this morning. He was in the shower, and I was literally sitting outside the shower like a child. And he was like, well, what is success to you? And I was like, I don't know if I actually know really. And I was like, ultimately, I just wish we could just like pay all of our bills, and I could go to Hobby Lobby and like get anything I want to decorate our house. And he laughed, and he was like, I know. And he was like, and I said, but if you would have asked me, because I pretty much have, it's hard for me to even talk about success. It's just, this is Samantha being very vulnerable right now. I pretty much have Premier locked in, and knock on wood, like jump backwards at dawn, all of the things, because I'm a little superstitious, but Premier seems to be a thing, and 2-star we're almost Brennan and I are in like the last week and a half, so we're pretty much locking in 2-star. And I said to John, I go, but if you would have asked me like a year or maybe 2 years ago, like I would have felt like I made it if I was Premier 2-star. And he was like, so can you just take this as a really big win? And I was like, yes, technically I can. So anyways, sometimes, and this was a good thing, I was also, this is me just rambling, but I've had a baby this year, and so postpartum blues have come up a few times. And this was like months and months and months ago. A girl was we were messaging back and forth on Instagram when I was kind of talking about like parenting and that kind of stuff. And she was like, sometimes honestly, she goes, I just like to read stories. She goes, in regards to personal development, she goes, sometimes I just like to read stories about people who've been through really, really hard things to check myself into perspective, that my struggles right now are somebody else's like biggest dream. She's like, so if I'm having a lot of issues, she goes, I read stories about people who go through the Holocaust or, some other really, really traumatic things. And she goes, and it kind of just knocks me back into perspective of like, this is hard and my feelings are valid. However, being grateful and just pushing forward is the only way to kind of get out of it. So anyways, some wins and learns is that I'm learning right now to recognize that we're in the hustle, right? Like we're in the hustle, that we are a new emerging team, and that is awesome because we get to have like that origin story that like later when we're all at the retreats by the pool drinking the drinks with the umbrellas, when we're like telling everyone like, remember when we hustled so hard in those beginning years? And that's incredible. But like the things we have right now and the things I have right now in regards to my wins are the learns is what somebody else on the outside really needs. So, and I think I've like, and we call it checking each other, but like know that it's done with love. Like I remember last year I had to check Brenna a little bit because I think she was like, I mean, like fluctuating like 3 or 4 pounds. I don't know if you remember this, Brenna, and you were like really frustrated because you were trying to get down to that weight. And I go, Brenna, you've lost 60 pounds. I was like, somebody out there really needs to lose, you know what I mean, in regards to weight loss, is dying for a solution. And so for me, it's like, maybe I haven't made the income goal that I wanted. And I was like, but babe, like all the lights are on. This was this morning. I was like, all the lights are on and I'm home. You know, some months are harder than others, but like this would not have been an option, you know, 2 years ago at all. And he was like, absolutely, Sam. He's like, we got to take it as a win. And just because you have like a little bit of, you know, you get to little goals doesn't mean the hustle's over, but that doesn't mean you don't celebrate. So that's my win. My win, right? Or I'm sorry, it's both, right? It's a win and a learn. The learn is to recognize my wins and to recognize the wins of the team and the small things, because that's how we have like really grateful attitudes and all of that stuff. And then I guess mine is the same thing. My win is my learn, but like all of that. And then other learns I'm having is that I played around this last week with my schedule, because I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have kids or we work with kids. Like Megan might not have children, but she works with kids. And so like that idea of like, as much as we want like this ideal schedule, like you kind of have, it's ever changing. You have to be flexible. And so this last week I had felt frustrated because I just didn't like how my day was going. And so I tried getting up all week and working and then doing my workout later. And it worked fine, but I just realized that I need to get my workout in first thing in the morning if I'm going to deal with toddlers all day. And because I felt like kind of sluggish and gross by the end of the day. Believe it or not, I have actually showered. So I feel better as long as I at least like shower and like wash my face and stuff. But anyways, that was one of my learns, is playing with my schedule and trying to be flexible. But ultimately, I have learned that Stop. I'm reinforcing the learn that I already have, is that I need to, without thinking, have my phone away from me. If I have to, text Brenna at 4:30 in the morning, just jump out of bed, whatever I need to do to get me out, drink my Energize and just start going without thinking. And I actually started the 5-second rule again, if you haven't read that book. So those are my wins and learns. Anybody else want to do theirs?
Hey, I will. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, cool. So my biggest thing I think has been that I kind of like stumbled into the coaching. I was like straight up discounts, give me that coupon. And then everybody said it's a 3-month out business, like just put it out there, people will connect. And in June that started happening, which is really cool. And then I really started using like the tracker and listening to team calls and all that kind of stuff and like putting that effort in, and it's just kept continuing. And there's a lady that was like number 6 on my tracker list, number 6 that I reached out to back in like March. And it was just like, no, I'm good. I've done it before. I think I'm all right. And she reached out on, gosh, when was it, Brenna? Like Thursday. I all of a sudden messaged Brenna like, oh my God, like she's in and I think I know what to do. And like she out of the blue straight up texted me and was just like, you do like the Beachbody and Shakeology still, right? Like, how do I get on board? And it was not even like a selling point. It was just more of a conversation of, I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to join us. Like that almost was like the blessing of like, I've put this work in, I've gotten those no's. And now it's like, here's somebody that's just watched and watched and watched and is like, okay, I'm in. And that's how I was with Megan. Like, I just like secretly scoped Megan out on the Insta and the Facebook and watched her for a while, and just like hands down I'm in. So it was really cool. It was like a little full circle-y thing. So that's been really exciting. Except then I put her under my husband, which maybe might not have been the right move. So I'm working on moving that. So I'm also learning and appreciative that you guys are so like open to questions and just like, how do I go about this? You guys know, you've been through it. So I so appreciate that, because I think I've been probably like dinging on Brenna and Megan's phone like all the time on Thursday and Friday. So thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'm just learning, kind of like you said, Sam, like I'm learning how to fit that 15 minutes in the middle of the day when I don't get a lot of service at school. Like, how do I fit that in? Because if I get home and then I do my workout and then I do my dinner and then I go in a shower, like I forget or I don't have time. So I like really want to this week. And maybe that will be my thing. I'm going to text Brenna and Megan and be like, girls, I'm doing it midday. I'm checking in, and just do it. So that's my hope.
Love it. And yeah, I mean, ultimately,
Well, I just wanted to, I just honked my horn aggressively at the person in front of me on accident. Sorry. What I wanted to say
You're like
about
so excited.
I know, I was like, move. There should be a song playing in this moment. No, but I also wanted to say, in apropos of Sarah's win, it was so funny because her and Megan both had checked in with me a couple before that happened, and literally were like, I feel like everyone's just saying, no, I'm doing the invites, I'm doing the things. And then it was like, the universe was like, we know, Sarah, we know. And this girl came out of the blue. And it was just, it like, and Megan had that happen the month she had Success Top 10, like 3 of the people who signed up with her, same thing, you know? And so when we say these things, Sam and I always like try to reiterate it. It's hard when you haven't done it yet, but how much it is true that like this is one of those businesses that it does take time, but when you put in the time and the work, those people who said no will be your yeses, even though it's hard to feel that in the moment. And that is such a great piece to reiterate, was that we're in September, a tough month. And so when we're saying like, just keep doing it now, so in October, November, people will say yes. It was just a prime example. And literally I was like smiling from ear to ear when I got the message about it, because I was like, yes, Sarah, exactly. I love it, you know, because it's so true. And those are the wins, you know, the people who you want to help and who say no, and you're kind of like, really? Okay, fine, you know, and then they come back around, just pop up out of the blue. So I love that. While I'm like driving around like very little people, I'll just say mine real quick, and then that way I can put the phone down. So my learns in the past couple weeks, there's 2 major ones, because qualification guys right now for me this past like week was like really rough, really rough on my limiting beliefs, on feeling like I'm not good enough, on really struggling with confidence, which I guess I should probably share that stuff with you guys more when I'm having those days, because, you know, obviously Sam and I totally have those days too. We're not like always like, the business is great, it's going great, I sent my invites and everyone's saying yes, or just keep going, it's fine. Like, no, like we have our breakdown days, and there was a full day of like eating my feelings, off and on crying, laughing, hysteria from stress and anxiety and overwhelmingness of feeling like, you know, some things in this business are out of our control, and I'm kind of a control freak. So I don't take that as like a negative term. I'm calling myself a control freak. I thoroughly enjoy that about myself, but so when things are out of your control, it is easy to use that as like a self-deprecating thing. Like, what am I doing wrong? And in those moments, you know, I turn to people who know me well and know how to give me a good pep talk and, you know, lift me up in those moments. But I think the biggest thing I took from this past week as a learn is to try to be grateful for where I'm at, and grateful for the struggles, which is really hard for me because I'm an achiever at heart. I don't like to struggle. I like to do things very well. And I pride myself on doing things well. So, you in those moments, Sam was kind of like, you just like to make things dramatic. You have these dramatic entrances over qualification, which is kind of a joke, but kind of serious because both of my qualifications have had a little more drama than I would prefer for my gray hair. But in those moments, I have never been somebody who does gratitude or does affirmations. I know you were joking. It was just perfect joking. I need that, lighten up my psychoticness that was occurring in those moments. But I struggle with gratitude for struggle, especially, but also gratitude for not being where I want to be, being in the moment. And that's a lot of work that I've been doing over the last however many years, but now actually physically doing gratitude every day, writing it down, and then saying gratitude out loud while I'm driving around. And so it's just in that moment, I did turn to I'm grateful for the women that are going to be joining my team, and was able to really turn that into a win, and turn into my team, into myself, and remember that we are amazing, and that regardless, we're not defined by this, that, or whatever. Like Sam was saying, like, we've come so far as a team. Whether you have that your brand new day one, the fact that you said yes, that is something that is a moving forward in your business. That is something to be grateful for. And the people who say no, to also be grateful for them, because they're not maybe the people who are meant to be on your team. Maybe if they have joined, you wouldn't have that month pushed harder and invited somebody who was meant to be a part of your tribe. And last night I was doing, you guys will find this funny, but I was doing gratitude to the universe for the nanny that was going to stay with my daughter last night before she even had committed to it. And Weston and I were driving around saying, we're so grateful for our babysitter that's going to show up tonight and watch my daughter so I can go out. So grateful for her. And then it ended up being Megan's grandmother. Talk about gratitude. Okay, I was like, Grandma, I know you've never met me, but I'm grateful to you, Nana. Okay, so Meg, when you watch this call, she'll think it's hilarious, but it was true. Like, it was like we were saying it all day, and it was just funny how it ended up happening, because we've been asking people all day long, and everyone's like, no. And I just felt like I was inviting all over again, but to babysit for my kid. So trying to be grateful for the tough things, and because those tough things are what make us capable of the really amazing successes. And if we didn't go through those, like if I hadn't had such a rough week in qualification, I may not be able to give that to my girls when they're going through qualification, to know how to help them in those moments, because I would have never gone through it myself. So that is my thing I'm learning to do, and be in the moment. And my win was that when we all know what to do. So in those moments when things are crumbling around you, life is crumbling around you, or your business, you feel like you had a bunch of coaches quit and you were so close or whatever, like, turn into the actions that we know how to do, and you will have success. I believe that at my core, we are all exceptional human beings. And when we believe that at our core, and we turn into ourselves and to our team and to what we know, we will be successful. And that was what happened I literally was inviting people, guys, till 8 o'clock at night. I had somebody sign up, and qualification was at 9 p.m. and I had to have one more girl. So we can do insane things when we are taking those positive steps to be the people that we need to be. The things will come, they will happen. So sorry for the long-winded, but this last week was kind of a roller coaster for me in the business, which it isn't always. But qualification makes you, you're like checking out the universe in a different way. You're like, all the positive things in the universe at all times, because it will come back to you. It makes you feel a little extra. So that's it. Sorry for the ramble, but it's just something to keep in mind, and something that I'm working on, and I'm trying to bring to my girls as well, our team, because it's not easy. And I always thought Sam was super crazy when she would write in a gratitude journal, and I can't believe I've never told you that, Sam. Sorry, but I did tell my sister that and my mom that this weekend. I was like, Sam, you're wasting so much time you could be inviting, and you're writing in a little gratitude journal. Like, I don't get it. And then now I look forward to it every day, and I've started to see such a difference in the way I look at my business and myself, and the way the universe plays into my life when I am being grateful, and I am doing my affirmations, and I do have the right mindset. It makes such a difference. So anyways, that's it.
But I thought it was crazy too. So don't think that I didn't. I thought fit endorphins was hokey pokey. Like, I was like, don't tell me you can solve your problems with endorphins. Like, get out of here. Like, so I mean, I get it. But really, gratitude makes such a difference because as an entrepreneur, like, and this is what this is, like, this is a real business that has limitless income potential, just like if you were to start any kind of business, and it's going to have ups and downs, like any other thing. And so when the downs come, if we've been practicing that gratitude muscle, it's so much easier to, I don't want to say it's like you're automatically you get better results, but I think you survive better. You know what I mean? Like, you're able to calm yourself down and be like, okay, I have to push. And we really talk about qualification like it's like seriously like awful, but it is. But it's just, it pushes you in a way because you have a time limit, and you have, like, if you hit diamond, like, that's super great, you go diamond, but then we want you to hold your diamond so that, you know, the team can advance. And it's hard because it is normal for people to move their Shakeology order. It's totally normal. I do it all the time. But so it adds like this pressure. But however, we now know that Brenna, in a pinch, can literally hustle like no one else. So it's the cool thing, and I'll share it with you guys. I don't know why all of these little minions are, and a dinosaur and a ballerina. I'll share it with you guys, but the Ashley Molstead, the speech that she gave at New Leader Conference, I just think is everything, because she's like, she just says, like, she became someone who showed up. She's like, if I have to count on she goes, if I have to count on anybody, I can count on myself. And through these really tough qualifications that Brenna has had, where, like, it's totally chance that someone happens to cancel their account on a Wednesday, when we, like, Wednesday night is when you, like, lock it in or don't. Like, it just happens to be that Brenna has that happen to her, but, like, it's not her fault. But she, like, at the end of this, she'll be like, damn, when shit goes sour, I know how to hustle. You know what I mean? Like, so it shows you what you're made of. And I think that's really powerful. But, okay, Rachel, your turn.
So my lesson that I learned was, instead of resisting my mental illness, I need to accept it and stop punishing myself, because it just makes it worse. So I had to, like, take a little break from my routine for a couple of days to kind of get myself back into, like, my mental state. And now that it's no longer Shark Week and my child is going back to school, we should be good for this week, because I feel like myself again. And I feel like I'm actually connecting with my workouts, because I really was just doing them, like, on autopilot because I didn't know what else to do. So my lesson, I guess, is just to kind of go with the flow and do the best that I can. And my win is that I made it, because it was looking a little dark, but here I am.
And I think that's powerful too, to realize, because when you're in it, like, when it's dark, and I know what it's like when it's really dark and you're, like, questioning every choice you've ever made in your life, and, like, you're having these really deep, and Rachie and I, you know, we'll share, we were talking this, I don't know, last week? I don't know when it was. I think it was last week, and, you know, we're talking, and I mean, when you're in it, it's hard. And so there are seasons in this business where it's like, everything is going good, I'm feeling great, people are talking to me. And then there's other seasons where you're like, oh my God, is one person going to message me back? And the difference is really nothing other than all we can control in those moments. What Brenda was just saying, like, it is hard, because those of us who are the Enneagram 3, the achiever, like, we like to control, and you cannot control. And so what you can control is celebrating that you made it through. Like, this was a hard season, and I'll say, like, I've definitely been down the last couple weeks and just feeling like it's taken way more effort to, like, feel like me and be like peppy me and dance party me than normal. And so sometimes the win is that I made it through it. But we know, right? Because Sarah, you've been, I mean, at least since March, everyone really started working, I would say around March. Like, so you've been around. And so you know that like there are some months in the business that are just like so fun and everything is so great. And it's like, you know, and then there's months like September where it's like, hey, okay, everybody. And I don't know what that is. And, you know, anyways, rambling about the same thing. But I just think that, and stop.
Sam, I have a question about that. Like, is it just like like people are out of like summer mode and that's what makes like September, October, November tough? Or is it just like the holidays? Like, what's the like backstory with that?
Okay, so I don't think I'm sure the marketing department has some kind of thing, but obviously January, February, March, April are usually really, really good. And then May and June are still, I think, pretty good, but then the thing comes up is people are like in vacation mode, and so if they're not somebody who wants to make this a lifestyle, like if they see it as a diet, they're kind of like, well, I don't want a diet right now. July or whatever month we go to Summit is usually pretty good, and like the months leading after that. And then I think that it's just people are like, I'm getting back into the routine. I can't add this back in. Like, let me learn to juggle before I add in another pin. And then October is usually not that bad. Okay, here's the thing. So if in September, as you're like, you know, imagining you're like, you have to switch if you switch the gears to get up the hill. So if you increase your efforts, then October is not really that bad, because like then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, here we go. If you stop dead in September and you're like, oh my gosh, this is hard, and then you kind of stop, again, doesn't mean October is impossible, but then at some point in the fall, you have to kick up your efforts. You have to, because people really need a lot. It's not that people need a lot of convincing. It's just that if they're not ready if they want to like indulge in which I just like only really do that in December. And so when people like give up for the whole fall, I'm just kind of like, what is the deal? Like Halloween, eat what you need to eat on Halloween. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's one day. Thanksgiving is one day. I'm just not really somebody who like, but I also don't live a diet mentality, and I never have. Like, I'm just like, I eat healthy in general, and then I have treats when I want to, but it did take me a while to get there. So anyways, people have different mindsets around food, and that's the great thing we have. So, but if you hustle really hard in the fall, the new year, if you hustle really effing hard, it pretty much sets you up for the whole year. Like, we hustled crazy hard why are you all stepping on shit? Like, I don't understand. Stop. Like, they're just pulling everything out right here. So, like, we hustled because we were going for 1-star qualification new leader conference last fall. So we were like crazy hustling, and then it pretty much catapulted where now we're in 2-star qual. And in the beginning is the hardest, because it's easier to be like, hey, I make X amount of money. Like, people are a little bit more intrigued, even though I don't think that's everything that makes it. Some of my most powerful posts are like when I talk about like a $50 check or something, because that's a huge difference. But it's kind of like when you hustle to 2-star, all of that momentum, see it that way. So anyways, I'm rambling. But it's just the fall, and then December is tricky because you have to invite super, 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 super hard, and then you kind of have to not invite, because who's sending invites on Christmas? It's just like, you don't want to be sending invites. Also, you don't want to be receiving an invite on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of weird. So you kind of like from the 21st to the 26th, you kind of like, I remember I was still working really hard, but I was like, just like talking to people. I was just like messaging. Cause I'm on my phone. You're on your phone anyways, right? Like, you're on your phone anyways. Like, let's not pretend that we're not on our phones. I wish I could just not be on my phone. That's what I'm working on right now, is to be like, I'm either working or my phone is plugged in another room. I actually just found, since we're just chatting, on your iPhone, you can like turn your app off from a certain time to a certain time. So like, if you are like, okay, from 6 to 8 o'clock is family time, no matter what, you can turn Instagram and Facebook off. So like, you cannot access them. I think some people would do it in the middle of the night, but I have my phone on silent and I have my notifications off. So that's not a thing. A thing for me is that if I'm hanging out with the kids, my finger just automatically clicks Instagram, right? Like, it's just like an automated thing. So I'm going to try that anyways this week. I ramble, if you haven't noticed. But
no, that sounds good. That's what I was thinking. Like, it's just like a funky time. And to me, I'm not so worried about how I look and feel because I'm wearing sweaters, and I'm not so worried about like being out in my swimsuit and all that kind of stuff. But I think like that's a good point, that like if you hustle it and keep it going, then come January when everyone's like New Year's or like last 90 days, like that's such a good idea. Like, I got into that last year. That's what like ramped me up to be really
yeah, and so but even with 90 days, like, people, and that's so much of what we do, is that people already have in the back of they're already processing something of like, I need to make a change, I need to be healthier, you know what I mean? When I signed up with a challenge pack, I had been thinking in my head by myself, like, oh, I really need to start exercising. And then my coach posted something. We had not we worked together years before. And I was like, boom. And I signed up with a challenge pack that night with a friend. So I made her buy one. So my coach got Success Club 4, like, which I now know, I'm like, oh, Emily, you don't even know. That was such a gift. When does that ever happen, right? Someone just signs up and brings a friend. That actually did happen to me one time, and it was very nice. But anyway, so I think like what we can do, or what we can try to do, is make these fun things like, hey, it's the last 90 days, like, let's do that. And then, okay, so then that's like basically October 1st. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll run a 21-day fix group at the beginning of November, because it's just 3 weeks and we'll be done Morning Marathon 100. And people, like, the commitment is small, and it's just like, you'll be done before Thanksgiving, and then you have BOD for then you'll be set up. Anyway, so that's what I'm trying to do. And then like, usually in December, I've done like some fun Christmassy themes. But this is the holidays, I feel, is kind of where you're doing a lot of follow-ups. Like, the relationships you start building this fall will show up in January. So do those. Those are so important. Don't skip it. But a lot of it is like combing your list and remembering like, oh yeah, that one girl, she was saying, like, it's kind of the time where, and it's tricky. And that's why the business is, a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to take the whole holidays off, where it's not necessarily that you have to put massive more time. It's that you just have to be really intentional with what you're doing. Like, you kind of can't just wing it like you can in like March, you know, when people are starting to like break out the tank tops and they're like, oh, I really want to do this. It's like, now you just have to be more strategic. I would say it's just more intentional and strategic. Last year we did a flash sale. And that is how I made Success Club. One of the months was looking pretty. What month was it? So maybe Brigitte will do that again. If not, we'll figure it out and we can do it. I just, you know, we'll learn. That's how this business grows. We just are like, okay, shoot, here we go. Also, I wanted to say, okay, make sure everyone's alive. We don't have any details yet. Come on. Yeah, he's always like smacks him in the face and then is like, sorry, Kenan. Come here. You're okay. Come here. We're going to be doing a diamond dash or a diamond push. We've been talking to other leaders, like in the bigger panels that we have, and we don't 100% know the details, but we think it's like October 7th or maybe the 6th it will start. And so look out for that. And that will be really great training for from like top leaders in the network. And a diamond push is basically what we were talking about. It's just taking your accountability to a different level and being like, I don't really know these people, but I'm saying to them, you know, and then usually there's a diamond dash at the end of the year, because anybody who's trying to lock in the end of the year anything, you have to start qualification on the 21st of November. So it's the week before Thanksgiving this week. Yeah, so that is kind of coming up. So yeah, let's just have a great week and just do our best and have fun. And I was thinking this week that I would post in the team page, like maybe some, like, we used to do it forever ago, like take a boomerang of yourself when you're like working your tracker and just like kind of just make it a little bit more engaging. Like we have a lot of different groups going on in, like, you know, in the messenger, and sometimes we do these things and they're super great, but then we don't know how to use all the funnels, right? Like, stop. She is by far my hardest child. If you don't have a girl, Rachie. Do you have a girl, Sarah? You don't have any kids?
I have 25 that are not my own.
That's cool. I thought for some reason, maybe I'm thinking of someone else. You don't have a girl, okay? Just don't. They are way harder. Boys are, I mean, if you have a girl, I'll love them. However, pray for the Y chromosome. Anyways, she's just so challenging in every way, and then she infuriates me, and I swear she's making me like break out. And I understand 100% now everything my mom used to say, and it is a sick joke, because she is for sure in heaven laughing at me, and like, or maybe she's here laughing at me. She's probably here laughing at me, because she would do that. Anyways, so yeah, we'll do maybe some fun stuff to just kind of get our spirits back up, and action builds confidence, right? But I am always the one who, when I'm lacking confidence, wants to do nothing. And so I have to like really force myself to do things. But I'm going to sign off now before she, you know, before I put her on camera. Just kidding. But we'll talk this week. And team call this week is Brigida going over compensation. And then, you know, in October, we might just do all of our team calls ourselves, because we just love each other. And I think we do better when we connect at least once a week. So anyways, all right. Bye, guys. Sorry.